Alright guys, so in this second part, build our routers, so like our pages for having routers for our application, and we are going to handle the different paths that you need to either look at more details, right, or like to log in, log out, not log in, log out, but to build the pages. All right, and then yeah, so we'll see after that. We'll if we have the time, we'll look at the backend part. All right, so in the first video we have just built this boilerplate. Okay, so right now this search is not working because we don't have the logic to make it work. Okay, now let's first build our this search functionality. So for the search functionality, what we need to do is to register an event listener for when we submit the form. All right, so let's see, where did we put it? In the Jumbotron here, index. All right, so here we have here an input group, okay, and we have a button, and we can add here on click, and we can add here handle search. Okay, and we need to have here use state like a controlled form. I can say here search input, set search input is going to be use state. All right, and then from now there is no nothing. Okay, and then the value of the form control here, we can have the value is going to be the search input. And on change, what we will do is it's going to take a lambda function here. Okay, and we can say here set search input e dot target dot value, and this is going to be the event. All right, so the event that we need. And handle search, we need to have the handle search, so I can have here const, let's just use functions, so function handle search. Okay, so it takes here a search, and it needs to have here, let's say it needs to have some way of making a request to our state. Okay, but the user effect here, where it is, it's in the meals or in the app, or it's in the home.js page is home. So we have the user effect here. All right, and the meals. So we need a way to set the meals here. So what we need to do is to create a context, because we need to have a context for our application, and so that we don't have to pass props all the way up here. So I'm going to create a new file and call it, so outside of it in the src, call it here context.js. all right, and import a bunch of stuff here. I need to import the create context, so from React create context. Okay, and I can say here function, so app context. All right, like this, and export default app context. And here the context is just a way to manage your state. So we'll have like a global state, and this global state is going to manage the React state application, so that anybody can have access to the state. Okay, any component. We can as well use something that we call Redux and React, which is another tool to just have your state managed by another API. All right, so here I'm just going to use the context. I can have const, I can have the create context, so const my context equals, so create context, like this. And then we need to have let's say here, let's say my context, okay, and we'll return my context that provider. All right, so it's going to take what we call children here. So this my context that provider, this is your context, so it needs to have a value, and this value is going to be an object, let's say, and inside it you will have an object, let's say I don't know, count 1, let's say, and I'm going to wrap the children here within the provider, so like this. Okay, so all the children that are in between this provider are going to have access to this count. All right, so now I can wrap our context here in app.js. Okay, so app context, this app context will wrap everything. All right, and yeah, so that's what we need basically. Let's look at the context. I think this should be outside like this, and then we return the provider. Okay, so now these children are going to be all the components that are wrapped in between the provider. Okay, this provider here. So now let's see in the app.js. So we have the provider. No, provider. Let's just close all. Okay, and then come back again, and you have the app context here. Now this app context will wrap everything. So I'm saying here use state is not defined. Let's look at components, Jumbotron, index.js. Use state is not defined, so I need to have use state here. Like this. Okay, so now let's see, let's look at, we can inspect, look at the components here using React. Okay, so app context, and you see that the value for our provider is 1. Now every single application can have, every single component can have access to this count. So what I mean by that is, if I want to have access to the count, first of all I can go back to the context here and then make this export. Okay, and now this context, this is what I'm going to have access to. Right, so let's say from the search component, so in the Jumbotron I have this search input, set search input use state. Okay, so I can just cut it from here and then move it in our context like this, and now this is going to be available from anywhere. Okay, so we can import use state, not this one, use state. All right, and then the handle search here, the handle search, okay, is going to set the context here, search input, to a new value. All right, so now we can say we can have access to the context by saying here use context, okay, and say here const let's say value equals use context, and the context will be the my context, okay, coming from this context. That's how you use the context. And we can log the value, so console log value. No, I think it's count. Okay, so here count, and we can comment this line out from now. Search input value, search input. Look at the console, and you see that it's one, right? So we can use this context now just to save, let's say, our app. Okay, let's say the user state, the app state, and let's say the application and the user, when you log in, log out, we can save it in our context, right? But from now here, we don't actually need, I think, do we need, so when we fetch, let's say, when we make a search here, Pixar, let's say, is going to make a new search, and it's going to show it. So this is going to be your new meals app, all right? So we need to save it. Actually, this, we don't need it. You can put it back to the Jumbotron. Let's uncomment this. Okay, what we need to put in the context is in home.js. So in the page is home, index.js, this the meals. Okay, we put it in the context because this is like all the meals, okay, of the application. And then here we don't no more, we don't need this no more, we need this no more. We can just say meals, okay, and set meals. That's what we need. And in home.js we can have the set meal. So const meals and set meals, coming from now, use context. Okay, so it's automatically imported, we don't need a use state. Use context, my context. Okay, so now it's working still as before, but now the state is managed by the context. Okay, and every single one of the components can have access to it. Okay, so now when we make a search here, okay, we don't need that. So when we make a search, we can inspect in the components here. We can look at the state, not this, so components. So we have the Jumbotron, all right, input group, so the form control, and whenever I make a search, so Pixar, you see that the value is changing. So we have the state for Pixar. Now when we handle the search, so when we click on search button, you can have here the search, and we'll make a new search. So Axios dot get. Okay, in this case I can just take whatever I had here, all right, and then now instead of having a, I'm going to put here plus and the search, okay, like this. Or I can say use backticks, okay, and this search here will be a variable, like this. And that, then when I get the data, I want to set, let's say here data, I want to set the meals. The meals are coming from the state, I mean not from the state but from the context. So I can say const, just use the set meals coming from use context, and the context is going to be my context, like this. So I'm going to set mails data dot mails. In fact, I need to wrap this in parentheses. Let's wrap it in parentheses. Okay, so it's now setting the mails of the global mails component. When I say pizza and I search, okay, it says can read property map of undefined. Alright guys, so the issue is that here, instead of calling the handle search with the search here, I need to call it with actually the search input. Okay, so we don't need any search here. Let's remove this count. Alright, so now let's see what we have. If I say pizza, still saying that. Let's see why. Let's see here, res console.log res. Okay, so let's say pizza search. All right, pizza. Okay, so the data is empty. All right, so here if you look at the mails DB API, we don't actually need this endpoint, we need another one. Let's look at the API. Okay, so we need to have search mail by name, this one. I'm going to copy it and then paste it here. Okay, because we are searching by name, not by first name. You can just have it here. And now the search now will be our search input. Okay, let's see. Of course, we need to have http colon https. Let's search for pizza, and we get the data now. Okay, which is just one mail. I can use here the structuring. So say data, and set now the mails to change it. So set mails to the data. Search for it. Should be data.mails. Okay, like this. Pizza, and you see now we have it. So if I say meet button, okay, so we have now the search functionality that is working. Okay, all right. So each child should have a unique key prop in the mails container. In the mails container, let's look at the mails container, what we have. All right, so here we need to have a key. I can have here key. It's going to be mail dot id mail. All right, id mail should be fine. If I make a, let's say made, okay, so you see that it's now showing. All right, so now the next is to, when we click on see more, it's going to bring us this it's going to bring us a model and then show us the mails. So React Bootstrap, still we can look for model this, like this one. I'm going to take this one. All right. In the live demo because we can take this one, this live demo, and this is going to be in its own component. Okay, so I can have here in the components folder a new file, say app or mail model index.js and RFC to have here the mail model, and we will return simply this model example and import what we need from React Bootstrap. So what we need here is the model, the button, okay, to make it work, and then we will render it. This button will be, so the model will be actually the trigger. Okay, so the button here. So I'm going to have in each mail, so the mail card here, I can have here my model, right? Mail model, okay, mail model, and it says use state is not defined. So go back to the mail model index file and import use state. Okay, now let's see what we have. If we look at the app, all right, so we don't have anything from now, which is not normal. Look at the my model, we have save changes, handle close. All right, so let's say all right guys, so what was happening was I had a function inside a function. Okay, it happens sometime. So yeah, so here the title, we have the body, what did we have here? The mail model inside. Okay, and actually I put it here as well, mails container. Right, so now we have the demo model, right? So each one of these has its own model. Now we will here, instead of saying launch demo model, we can have see more, okay, like this. So see more, and when you say see more, it's going to have this model. All right, so now this is where we will have to pass props. Okay, so for the title and the body, the title will be str mail coming from the prop, so we need to have here str mail from the mail, and in the mail card we will pass as well str mail thumb str mail. We don't need str mail thumb, just str mail, and say here s, you can just say use this str mail, and now whenever you click, should not show it, so we can say here str mail equals the str mail. All right, so now it shows this. Okay, the next one is to show the description, but the description is not just sent like the other here attributes like title or image. It's like inside an array. Let's see, inspect. Let's look at the components. So the mail, HTML. So you see here we have instructions, and I think it's fine. Yeah, so actually it's just instructions, so that's fine. We can have the str instructions here. I was thinking that it was just an array. So we have str instructions, we'll pass to str instructions. No, str mail, str, I can just say description equals str instructions, and here title. Okay, it makes more sense. Now for the model, we need to have here title, and not title like that, title and description, and we show here the title and we show here the description. Okay, this description like this, and now it should work. So we see that, okay, it's showing the description, okay, which we can close. All right, so the search is working, the description is working. Okay, so you can choose to make it like better based on this. So add a new, let's say add a new paragraph or split it. We can split it, okay, on the dot to have here arrays, and then for each one we just show a new paragraph, right? So it's possible to do it. Now the next one is to create here now the login page. Okay, so for the login page we need to have React router DOM. All right, so the React router DOM is a way to have routing for your app. So I'm going to install the React router DOM here on a new terminal, and the setup will happen in the app.js. So in the app.js we'll have the routes, I mean. So here I can say import from React router DOM, and we need a couple of modules. So we need to have route, browser router, so you name it as router. You need to have the switch, right, like here. So you have switch and the link as well, but the link we don't need it, we don't need it here. So I can just say now wrap the app into a router. Okay, like this. Actually this yeah, so and then we can have the switch. So the switch is what we need to switch. So the switch, we want to have the navbar always stay there, but the home page, let's say switch. So I can have a switch here, and the switch here will be, the home will be inside our switch. All right, the jumbotron, why do you have the jumbotron here? We don't need it, can just remove it. Let's see if the app is still working. All right, so we don't need this actually. I can just remove it, and this switch is going to wrap, okay, our app. So we have a route, and this route will be for the home path, like this. Okay, and we need to have exact path is going to be the home, and we need another one. So I'm just going to copy this one and have another one. So exact path login. Okay, and we need a default route. Let's say route So just have 404 that we are going to create. So in the pages here, I can have 404 and have 404.js. So JS, let's rename it like this. So have React functional component export and have error page. Okay, have here some h1 that says this page doesn't exist or is not allowed. Or is private, let's say is private. For that, when you are logged in, let's say you will have a private page. Okay, and let's say here I try to say, okay, we need to import a 404. Let's say just error page. Okay, 404. Yeah, should be 404.js. 404.js. What's the issue? Let's restart it. And if I say here something doesn't exist, it should bring this display doesn't exist or is private. All right. So, but if I go to now the home, which is just this, we have the home page. Okay, so it's working. Now we can build the login page. So login, and here we can have login.js, RFC, so functional component export, and I just can look at React Bootstrap here. So for some forms, look at some forms here. Okay, so we can copy this one, is email and password. And now we'll import, okay, a bunch of stuff. So from React Bootstrap, so we import the form, of course, and the button. Okay, all right. And now in the app.js, when we say route path login, instead of showing the form, we show the login page. And now if we go to /login, it should show us this login page. All right, so here we can now have our login page and just log into our account. But another thing we need is the sign up, because we want to sign up before we log in. Okay, now for the sign up, we can have here another page, another component. So inside the pages, let's just collapse everything. So go back and say create here sign up, right, and have sign up.js, so RFCE, and just copy this again. So return this again and have import from React Bootstrap and have here form and button. All right, so we need to have an email and a password. Yeah, but actually here, so as I'm reflecting on it, even if it's better to have, good practice to have here just one page for login and another one for sign up, but if the login page and the sign up page are the same, we can just have login and sign up. But from now we can just keep them separate, okay, even if they are the same. Now for the sign up, we'll need to have a state, so use state, so const email, set email equals, so we say use state, can copy it, okay, and paste it on the next line for the password. Password set password, use state as well, okay. And the email address, okay, we need to have here on change equals, right, so we set, so we take an event and we call the set email e.target.value, and the next one is the password as well. So here we set the password to e.target.value. all right, and now we can have here the values, so value equals email, and this one as well, value equals password, okay. So now we have the email and the password, so this is what we call the control form. For the sign up, let's create the route for the sign up. In app.js I can have another route, so just copy this and paste it here and say sign up, and have here sign up, okay. Now let's look at our navigation. Let's just collapse everything and then open it again. Look at the components, so we have the navbar, index.js, so in index.js, in index here for the navbar, we need to add another one, okay, like this for the sign up, okay. All right, so there is a very handful package that we can use to link the pages with the nav links. All right, so in this case I can just use React router bootstrap. I can save here React router bootstrap, this one, okay, and then we can install it here, and we are going to use this link container, okay, coming from React router bootstrap. And here I can say, let's remove this drop down, import link container from React router bootstrap to have our link container, and we just wrap, so link container, right. So if you look at the link container here, you can just wrap it, so it has a to attribute, and we can say / and just have your nav link. And now if I click on the mails, let's refresh, the home, let's see if, let's refresh, yeah, so if I click on home now, it's bring us to the home. If I click to the same here, I can have another one, so twice. Let's remove this one, so here login, and say here login, and another one for sign up, and say here sign up. All right, so now we have the login and the sign up page and the home page. All right, so now the home, the mails, we can actually remove this one because it's still going to be the mails. So mails here, login, and actually sign up, there is a typo, you can say sign up, okay. All right, So now the mails as well. Let's have a link container. No, should be all the other way around. So we're going to wrap link container to this navbar brand and have here a to attribute going to be just a / and remove the href. Okay, so we have mails, login, sign up. All right, so that's it about this video. So what we did here is we can now search for a mail. Okay, we can now have as well our navigation working with our React router. And in the next video, what we are going to do is create now our backend to set up the backend with MongoDB and handle the login and logout functionality.